Hey, Greg, thanks for taking the time. Tim Hasse, Red 97. So, a little bit of a different question for this one to kick things off. BJ Callaghan is a coach who you gave his previous job to as an assistant while you were with the national team. Can you just describe a little bit about who he is as a coach and how you saw him grow in the time that he was your assistant?
Sure. Always happy to talk about BJ. Good guy. You know, he came in initially with the national team as an analyst. And, I never forget that first camp. We wanted Coach Payne. We wanted all this stuff. And he was getting up to speed with it. And, we're working, 24 hours a day, basically. That was in January of 2019. And, nothing was too much for him. He took everything in stride, and he learned very, very quickly. What I saw from him is a tremendous work rate, very good tactical understanding of the game, willing to do anything to help out the team. And he eventually grew from an analyst to assistant coach, and eventually became head of the technical department. He was giving press conferences at the end, and just showed a tremendous potential for growth. And that's why it's not a surprise that he's a head coach in the league right now, because he's a very good man manager, very good understanding of the game, and one of the hardest workers I know. So really excited for BJ, for his opportunity, but we still want to beat them.
Hey, Greg, Joe Chats on Tap Sportsnet. Curious, amidst a 4-match winless run, where is the sense of urgency in terms of, yes, you want to get the wins as well as the results that are positive, but also you want to play that clean game that isn't the mistakes on the team, on your own side of it. So I'm curious where the messaging comes from, is a sense of, yes, we want to win, but also we want to be playing that firebrand of soccer.
I think when you can play, mistake free, when you're not hurting yourself, you give yourself a lot better opportunity to win the game, right? It's pretty basic idea. But for us, it's really about just building on performances. It is early. We have, decent amount of points. We'd want more points based on some of the performances. Some performances we weren't so happy with. But for us, it's really just continuing to build, for the group to get confidence in who they are, how we can play, how we can hurt teams. I know this is a team that can hurt other opponents. You see it every week. And, for us, it is about getting some continuity, playing together, and then continuing to build.
Alex Campbell from CHGO. Greg, I'm sure that, we've seen that Leonardo Barroso and Romy Kouame, since they've come in, have continued to, struggle with these minor or sometimes more serious injury setbacks. How does that make things more difficult for you and your staff when guys who you had a vision for aren't able to be on the field? And how have you seen those guys handle what's probably, I'd imagine, been a frustrating couple of months with, I'm sure they want to be out on the field as much as possible?
Yeah, for sure. They really want to be on the field. It would help us tremendously. But it is what it is. It is the next man up mentality. We've been talking about that all year, and we'll continue to do so. Both Leo and Romy have, been working hard and are going to get back one day. This weekend won't be that day, unfortunately. But, we know they can both help the team, and they're itching to get back on the field.
Greg, La Fiera Deportiva. We saw Carlos Saran almost 6 minutes on the field. I would like to know about his health and how healthy is the defense with Jack Kelly and Sam Rogers for this weekend.
Carlos has got a pretty serious injury from the game, upper leg injury. He's going to be out for the considerable future, and we're going to have to deal with it, without him. And it is a big loss. We know how good Carlos is, but in the same side, we have Sam, Jack, Omar, Chris Cups, who can fill in, and we're confident in those guys. Sam has played in all of our wins so far in the year. And he's shown to be able to, adapt and improve. And we think that pairing will be fine.
Thank you. We'll take a couple questions from Zoom. We will start with Alex Calabrese from Men in Red 97.
Hey, Alex. All right. We're counting the days, bud. We bought in a number of players, right? How many players did we bring in? I don't even know. 15? No, is it 15? 15 players? Oh my goodness, 15 players. Wow, that's more than I thought. I was gonna say like 8. We're not done either. We want to keep working. We didn't want to necessarily force anything before the trade deadline, just due to guys potentially coming back from injury, getting guys healthy again. We still think there's a couple positions we can reinforce that we'll look to do in the summer, and then that's the squad for the year. We think we'll make hopefully some good signings that will help us for the end of the year. But I think this group in particular is more than capable of getting results and putting themselves in the playoff, or putting ourselves in the playoff picture.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Jim Alexander from Real Talker.
Hey, Coach. I wanted to ask you about the situation about Kellen Acosta. He's come off the bench the last 2 games. I want to know your thinking behind that, and is this a role you want him to continue going forward, or is it more fluid week-to-week basis, depending on the matchup?
We have, competition in the midfield spots. That's one of the positions that we've had guys healthy and available. And, there's a tremendous amount of competition right now. And, I think it's healthy for the group. We expect Kellen to be playing more often than not. But right now, he wasn't chosen. He still plays an important role for this group as being a leader of the team. And, and he understands that. I think this is, it's about moment to moment, and you're looking to get, the most out of each and every game. So, Kellen has done his role over the last 2 games, and whether his role expands or not in the future, just depends on the level of competition within the squad.
Yeah, Greg, I just wanted to ask a follow-up regarding, the first off season and going through transfers. What was it like working with Gregg Berhalter in this capacity? Just understanding you both come from somewhat similar and very different backgrounds in other ways too. Just that experience.
No, I mean, it was great. There was times when I couldn't be in Portugal, and he's picking up the slack, and he's there, getting deals done. And that's why, we have a sporting director role, because, there's, the whole leadership team, is basically an extension of the club. And, he was instrumental in a number of deals that really helped us so far.
I have one more, kind of a very different question, actually, about some of the younger players in the club right now, the academy guys. Obviously, lots of players often play up age groups, either due to physicality, ability, whatever. I know there's a group of guys in Italy right now, a group of young guys with a bunch of U15 guys, including guys who often play with the 17s and the 18s. What do you hope players get out of an experience like that? And, why does the club want to have a group of guys like that be in Italy playing against teams like the ones they're going to face this week?
Well, I think the best way, for players to improve is to play against the best competition. And it's not always easy to find, the strongest competition locally, and you have to travel. I think, personally, the experience that I gained going abroad and playing in Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay when I was 13 years old really opened my eyes to what, the level is around the world, and how much desperation and competition these young players play with. We don't always have that here in the States. And when you get to go abroad and see firsthand what it's like, it really shapes your experiences and really informs you as a player. So, we really want to give our academy kids experiences like this to help their growth and to supplement their development.
Switching gears a little bit to focus on Saturday against Nashville. They're a team that's very similar to the Fire in the attack, just in terms of the number of chances they're creating. They create them a little bit differently, but they're also aggressive in the attack, and have had just more defensive consistency early in the season because of returning players and other stuff. Can you describe a little bit what you expect from Nashville and how the Fire potentially are going to try to get the first ever win in Nashville?
What's our record?
I think it's 0 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like what they've been doing. It's funny because I don't know what the cadence is like, but it seems like they've been playing all the teams we've been playing. Because they played Red Bull, they played Cincinnati, they played Montreal, and it's like we play them a week after them. So I call BJ, get to find out about the teams we're going to play. And then I watch them, and, a lot of the games, they've been able to hurt opponents. They've been able to create a number of chances. They've been overloading the midfield with 4 players in the midfield, keeping 2 players high, creating a box in the midfield. But they've been very good on set pieces, haven't been great on penalty kicks, missed a number of penalty kicks. But overall, it's a competitive team, and I know they'll be disciplined. I know they'll be defending well in the penalty box, and it will be difficult team to score on.
Jose Gudiño, Conexión Deportiva. Greg, Brian just mentioned that there's been a couple of mistakes recently that has been costing the team some extra points. I mean, the draws and everything. What are the mistakes that you need to focus so the team can move forward, and how are you working for it?
There are going to be a couple mistakes next game as well, right? Every game is about mistakes, and that's what soccer is. And for us, it's trying to eliminate mistakes that can potentially cost you goals, because we know how valuable goals are. But mistakes are part of the process, and this group, part of this group growing up and maturing and learning together is making mistakes and feeling safe enough that you can make mistakes. So we know, we want to avoid them. We know we're not always going to be able to, and then it's really about, how we are able to I think, be resilient when mistakes happen and understand that, okay, this is all part of the game. We're mentally strong enough to continue on.